Texas.
That's what Americans would be singing if Texas ever seceded. Some Texans have been threatening this for years, but can they really break up with us?
I would say that it's beyond possible.
Daniel Miller is with the Texas Nationalist Movement, an organization petitioning for a statewide secession vote in 2022. And in New Hampshire, this lawmaker is proposing a constitutional amendment that would also put secession on the midterm ballot. First things first, is it even legal for a state to secede?
Let me begin with a one-word answer: no.
That's constitutional law professor Daniel Farber. He points to the 1869 ruling on Texas v. White, which reaffirmed America as an indestructible union from which a state can't secede. But if a state wants out, does the state really care what the Supreme Court says? Secession author Richard Kreitner weighs in.
You know, when you really look at it, the reason why the Union stuck together was not because of an 1869 Supreme Court case 4 years later, but because the North beat the South in a military, trial by combat.
We should probably discuss that elephant in the room, the Civil War. It was deadly, ugly, and no one got to leave in the end. In a letter, the late Justice Antonin Scalia wrote, "If there was any constitutional issue resolved by the Civil War, it is that there is no right to secede." While the U.S. Constitution doesn't explicitly address secession, it forbids states from making any laws that would limit a person's American citizenship.
The 14th Amendment makes it clear that at least as after 1866, that we're Americans first and only citizens of a state second.
So to be clear, historical and legal precedent are not on the side of American secessionist movements. But there's a strong argument that if secession made it on a state ballot and there were enough votes, a state would just leave, stop paying federal taxes, establish their own government, the whole shebang.
It's not clear to me at all that if Texas seceded, the Biden administration is going to send an army to Texas. I mean, that'd be absurd. I live in New York. I'm not going to war to keep Texas in the Union.
He believes secession will happen. It's just a matter of where and when. And while we have seen successful breakups in other parts of the world, it's rarely a smooth transition.
It would make Brexit look like a picnic. It really would.
He says legal roadblocks aside, this hypothetical divorce would be a logistical nightmare. Military, border policy, Social Security.
And if there comes a point where it's hopeless, then I think we take NASA, we take the military, we take the oil.
Jokes aside, like any divorce settlement, there would be a lot to work out, not to mention convincing several million people at the polls.
But those are things that are not insurmountable.
Are you convinced? Could the Lone Star State really go it alone? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and be sure to rate this story on the Straight Arrow Bias Meter.